Welcome to the IREL podcast. Are you sick and tired of real estate gurus pitching their next pre-construction deal only to find out years later they were completely wrong? Worried the next overseas conference you spend thousands to attend will only be used to sell overpriced lots and deserted developments? Join thousands of other international real estate seekers who are looking for their place in paradise without the sales pitch. Straight from your host, Taylor White.
Hey, real estate seeker, welcome to the Overseas Property Insider Podcast. I'm your host, Taylor White. I am proud to say this episode is brought to your earbuds, courtesy of my friends at HomeAway. If you're a homeowner or property manager and want to put your vacation rental in front of over 62 million travelers each month and earn incredible returns of up to $56,000 per year, then you must list it on the #1 vacation rental marketplace. Head on over to irelpodcast.com/rental to get started. I can't wait to share another House Hunters International alum when I sit down and speak with Nancy Bergman from Casa Granada Properties in Granada, Nicaragua. And as always, we'll get the true story on the local real estate scene and have you coming away wanting to investigate its local property market further or cross off your short list entirely and continue listening. Right now from Nancy, you will learn what drove her to purchase 3 properties within 3 days of arriving in Grenada and all the reasons why she has never decided to leave. Reveals 3 amazing buys she is recommending today, with one starting at less than $160,000. Reminds the listeners to keep the exit strategy in mind when buying, and nothing better than utilizing Grenada's hot rental market, and much more. And don't forget, if you're listening to this podcast and want to grab Nancy's contact details, links on buying or selling Granada real estate, or any other show notes, head on over to irelpodcast.com/41. Enjoy some Florida Caña. Don't be stingy with the good stuff. And let's head down to Nicaragua. In case you can't tell, I'm excited. Let's get Nancy on the phone. What's going on, Nancy? It's Taylor White. I'm excited to have you on the podcast today, straight from Granada, Nicaragua, so we can get to know you personally. Tell us more about yourself and where your stomping grounds were before you ended up in Granada.
Okay, Taylor. Well, I'm happy to speak with you today. I'm originally from the San Francisco Bay Area, and I attended Gonzaga University. That was the first time I left home and went to Spokane. And when I returned from there, I lived in Marin County in California for about 25 years, raised my sons, had businesses there. And I've always been an entrepreneur. I was born an entrepreneur, from my first lemonade stand to my businesses in Grenada. I've worked many, many different jobs in many businesses, from an artist, florist, flamenco dancer, teacher, realtor, property manager, just to name a few. But I did have a career with United Airlines that lasted over 16 years and retired with my flying benefits, which continues to feed my travel habit. I was also in the Peace Corps as a volunteer in Suriname, 97 to 99. And that was when I really established that I wanted to live outside of the country, the U.S.
Nancy, I want to highlight something that you just said. It piqued my interest. Flying benefits for United Airlines. Talk to me. What is that?
Well, I have passes to fly. Whenever there's an empty seat on a United plane, I can jump in that seat.
You're kidding. Is that really?
Yeah, wherever United goes. And I can fly on other carriers, too, with a small service charge. But yes, the world is mine.
So, Nancy, I have to ask, we have listeners from 47 countries. You're in Grenada. Explain what the weather's like today.
Oh, well, right now it's beautiful. Just a light breeze, just totally pleasant. I'm sitting outside on my front porch talking to you. Now, it has been hot in the evenings. You know, our hottest time of the year is coming up, which is April and May. So we're gearing up for that. But you know what? In Grenada, there's always water nearby. So I jump in the pool before I go to bed, or, we have oceans, lakes, rivers, so there's always some water nearby if you need to cool down.
So jealous, Nancy. And so we can get a better idea of you professionally, give us your brief resume leading up to Casa Granada Properties.
Okay, well, I always love to travel and experience other cultures, and I lived in southern Spain and Suriname, where I was doing Peace Corps, and I traveled extensively. But I was always particularly fond of Latin America culture. And as it happened at one time, my sister and I had time off together and decided on a trip to Central America, and we just stumbled into Nicaragua by accident. So with my background in real estate, construction, interior design, gardening, this place was a paradise for me, and it immediately got my attention.
So then, Nancy, do you handle buyers, sellers, as well as vacation rentals?
Yes. We're pretty much full service. Our newest division really is the rental and property management, because there is such a demand. We're coming into our office every single day asking for rentals when we were really just wanting to be a real estate office. But we have to take care of people, and so now we are into the property management as well as the real estate sales.
Listeners and I are always fascinated to learn about which countries people have considered and why. Now, why don't we delve deeper into Nicaragua as a whole, and then why you chose Grenada in particular versus other popular spots?
Well, I have traveled extensively in Central America and South America. And what Grenada had, well, there was a nice sense of history when I got here, but other countries have that. There were the nicest people in the world. I mean that sincerely. Friendly, welcoming, smiling, never complaining. Whether they're poor or rich, they're welcoming. So that really got my attention. Also, the proximity to the U.S. was important. Yes, I liked Uruguay. It was a lovely little town there that was Spanish colonial or Portuguese colonial. But Uruguay is at the other end of the planet from me. So Grenada is close. It's only less than 3 hours from Florida. And I travel back and forth to San Francisco or to the East Coast. And, I'm leaving in the morning. I'm there in the late afternoon. So it's easy. Cost of living is also important. The style of life. It's a wonderful style of life where you can be outdoors, and I have a wonderful garden, and I appreciate it. And I have I can work out. I have trainers. I have massages every week. It's just wonderful.
Nancy, I'm jealous. I want to come down right now just listening to you, but we are looking at a map of Central America. We see Nicaragua. Better explain where Grenada is located.
Okay, Grenada is about 45 minutes from the capital, Managua, and that's where the international airport is. So we have a very nice highway and easy transportation to get to Grenada. Grenada is on the 10th largest freshwater lake in the world, which is called Lake Nicaragua or Cochibolca. And this lake is something else. It's what gives us this wonderful breeze that keeps us cooler and also offers lots of water sport activities and beautiful sights. There's 365 little islands in that lake. So it's marvelous.
Well, Nancy, we have gotten to know you both personally and professionally, reasons why you chose Nicaragua and why Grenada speaks to you. But get ready, because now it's time for us to pick your brain on the local real estate scene and to get the juices flowing. We're going to do a quick round of what I like to call the real estate hot seat. We'll ask you 5 rapid fire questions and you give me an answer in 15 seconds or less each. Nancy, are you ready for the Grenada hot seat?
I don't know. It's a little scary. Go ahead.
All right. What currency is local real estate priced in?
Well, it's priced in U.S. dollars. But on the deed, it is always in Cordobas and in dollars. Cordoba is the local currency.
Is owning property as a foreigner legal?
Totally legal. You can own it without restrictions.
Can property be titled?
Yes, property is titled as fee simple, just like in the U.S., and even beachfront property is available to foreigners without restrictions on the title.
Can money flow in and out easily, or are there currency restrictions?
Well, Nicaragua accepts all international wire transfers. The only restriction is on cash, and there's a limit of $10,000 that you can bring in or out of the country. But other than that, you can transfer any amount of money here.
And as listeners know, Nancy, my number one question, what is your favorite local drink?
Oh, that's easy. My favorite drink is a maquá. It's a rich mixture of tropical juices and the gold standard of rum, Nicaraguan Flor de Caña.
Flor de Caña, without question, world's number one rum. What year, Nancy, what year do you go with? Talk to me. What year Flor de Caña? Do you have the regular stuff? Do you go 3-year? Do you go 7-year? Do you go 12? Do you go 18?
Okay, what I drink is the 7-year. That's what I generally drink. And on rare occasion, when maybe 25-year is offered to me, I slurp it up.
It's so good you can have it on ice. And I wanted to follow up with you, Nancy, if you don't mind. I know that you've traveled extensively. Can you better explain a little bit more about what you think the cost of living is like in Grenada to some other places that you've been?
Well, let's see. For example, our next door neighbor is Costa Rica. And
Right.
Costa Rica is nearing or sometimes exceeds U.S. prices. So then we go to Panama, and Panama is more expensive. Guatemala, depending on where you are, is about equal in some places. But Nicaragua is undiscovered as of yet. And because of that, the cost of living is great. Now, Grenada itself is a boutique town. So, of course, things in Grenada are a bit more than if you go to outlying areas of Nicaragua and other cities.
Okay, Nancy, you are off the hot seat, but it's time to zero in on the local real estate scene. Give us your brief synopsis on the Grenada real estate market over the last few years, where it is today, and then where you see it heading for the very near future.
Well, things have changed a lot. For a while, we were just selling like crazy, and things were going and multiple offers and that. And then there was the worldwide real estate and business correction. So now we're at a really good time, actually, because when things were going up so quickly, people were going, I missed the market, it's too late for me. But no, we're at a real special time. There's still some great bargains. Things are on the rise, and there are few houses in the historical center. So once those are gone, or they're sold and then they're going to be resold or whatever, then the prices are going to go up because there is a limited number of houses here.
And then, Nancy, before we move on, I know Grenada has colonial style houses. Is it comparable to places like Casco Viejo in Panama, Ciudad Vieja in Uruguay, where you have the old classical style homes?
Well, we do have the old classical style homes, although Granada architecture is a bit different. Granada architecture, you see, like a whole city block is pretty much enclosed in walls and very few windows, mostly doors. When those doors open up, you're always in for a surprise. You never know what's behind those doors. So you see beautiful gardens and you see architecture that'll just knock your socks off. But it's not ostentatious on the outside.
Well, Nancy, you have us sold on Nicaragua as a destination, Grenada as a location, and the industrial estate outlook within the very near future. Of course, you don't have a crystal ball. I sure as heck don't. No one does. But that's why I think it's so vitally important to get on the ground insight from local real estate professionals. And yes, Nancy, I just used the words local and on the ground in the same sentence to drive home a very important fact. You are not some newsletter writer who might spend a few days in Grenada and and then send out emails with hot buys, calling yourself a real estate guru. You are there in the trenches on a daily basis, dealing with local buyers, sellers, agents, lawyers, and every facet of the real estate business. Nancy, break this down even further for us. Pretend you are Google Maps or Google Street View. What streets, neighborhoods, or parts of the town are we talking about in Granada?
Well, Granada has a historical center, and the city hall has set that up from archaeological and historical events in the town. And the historical center has the primary historical center and then the secondary. And that's probably about a 12 to 15 block radius. And that is where most of the restaurants, the businesses, the museums, the art galleries are located. And then on the secondary historical area is more residential with a few restaurants and bars and things like that. So we're talking about a relatively small area where people are concentrating.
And then Nancy, do you consider this a large town or a small town?
Well, it has a small town feel because you can walk to everywhere. You don't really need a car. But when they do a population of Granada, they say it's like 100,000. Well, 100,000 people, that's including the outlying areas where a lot of local people will be living and where the families are concentrated that are the nationals.
And then we're going to move on to examples. But before we do, if we're in Granada with you right now, what percentage is locals and what percentage is expats?
Well, I'd say maybe 10% expats and 90% Nicaraguans. Now, that's in that 100,000, let's say. But the expats tend to be concentrated in the city center. So I see my friends every day walking the streets, my Nicaraguan friends as well as my expat friends.
So Nancy, why don't we now move on to properties? Are we talking about buying pre-construction units for capital appreciation? Are we talking about buying completed apartments, houses, or office spaces to generate rental income? Or are we talking about buying land to either sell as is or subdivide? Give us a better idea of what you're talking about.
Okay, well, basically, there's the turnkey properties, and a lot of people who come here want an easy move, and they will buy a turnkey property that's all ready to move into. They may do some minor things to make it to their taste. Then there are the fixer-uppers or the vacant lots. I kind of lump those together because some of those fixer-uppers have very few things that you're going to keep, and others have interesting architectural details that you certainly want to preserve. Cost of construction is very economical here. It's about 1/3 labor and 2/3 materials. So much different than North America or other places you might think of constructing. Also good craftsmen here. Anything can be made. You bring a photo out of Architectural Digest, they can duplicate it. So that's a benefit here. Then there are some properties that'll be very close to town still that do have room to do several units or a small subdivision. So these are the benefits of Granada, that you have very different kinds of properties that you can build your dream.
Okay, Nancy, now I'm going to hit you up with a two-part question that I know everyone wants to know, and you have to give us a general range, so we have some price points in mind. Here they are. Part one, what would be the price range of what we are talking about? Maybe give us a starting price point at the low end to a final price point at the high end. And just to clarify, I'm talking about total purchase price.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, total purchase price, are we talking a turnkey place or, if we're talking something that's done, ready to go, mostly 100,000 to 450,000. Although we do have $1 million properties, and those are for the discerning buyer who's looking for that kind of luxury lifestyle. So within that range, there's a wide spectrum of things that amenities that come with those properties.
And then I'm going to transition to a part two. I don't know if it's used quite as much, but I'm going to ask it. What would be the cost per meter or cost per square foot, just for a general range?
For purchase?
Yes, exactly right.
You know what? I don't have that. And the reason being, every property is so distinct here. I can't tell you that because the garden is also included in that property because everything is between and within your walls.
Right.
So something might have a small house and tons of gardens. So you couldn't do a price per square foot or square meter on that because it's so different than something that's heavily constructed or more house than outdoor space, things like that.
And then what's the type of clientele that you normally deal with?
Well, I deal with North Americans mostly, but the Europeans are coming up a close second on that. And these are usually people who are thinking, they come early before they're ready for retirement, and they're looking for a change of lifestyle. And now even young families are coming that have small children because we have schools available for those children. But they're looking for something maybe to get their foot in the market now, to spend the winter here and look towards later in life when they can disconnect from their business life to spend more time here.
And then, Nancy, I wanted to highlight one thing that you said, and that's families with kids. Can you better explain what kids might do for school? Do they do public schools? Do they do private schools? Do they do homeschooling?
Well, we have 3 bilingual schools here in Grenada. So usually the children will go there unless they are also fluent in Spanish, and then they might go to one of the public schools also. But foreigners have developed these bilingual schools to suit the needs of their children as they're growing. So that's a great option. And then there's one other semi-private school that was a private school that's not funded by foreigners, where both Nicas and foreign children go.
Nancy, this is a question I like to call, what would sister do? My 40-something-year-old sister calls you up, says she has X amount of dollars to spend. You know, you can't let my sister down, Nancy. Share with us 3 examples you would show her and explain why these make sense.
Okay, well, no, I'd never let your sister down or any of my
That's
clients.
right.
And we've had lots of experience on this because we've done several House Hunter International programs through our office. Well, I have some excellent options for your sister. I have a recently done furnished home with 2 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, small pool, view of Mombacho, our extinct volcano, gentle breezes that pass through this house. It's totally furnished, outdoor living, open kitchen, and it's at a bargain price of $159,000. Now, that's a great option. It's ready to move into. And if that's not right for her, she wants more space. She wants a garage. She wants lovely colonial antique furniture and reproductions that capture the colonial era. I have another house at 165, 2 bedroom, 2.5 bathroom, no pool, but has a garage. Then the third one. Oh, you're really giving me a hard task here. The third one I'd suggest is really large. It has 3 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, huge great room in the front, space to park your car, front courtyard that takes you back from the street a bit, and lots of potential, but needs a little creative touch. That one I have for 160. So these are all in the same price range, but much different properties.
So, Nancy, I have to ask you, you're in Grenada. Of those 3 fantastic options, which is your favorite?
Oh, yeah. I didn't know you were going to ask me that one. Yeah.
It's like picking children.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards the one the last one I told you about that has a lot of space and then I could put my own personal touch on. But if I didn't have the enthusiasm or thought it would be too much work to do that, then I'd probably go with the first one that has the views and the pool and everything. And I think I'd take that one.
Nancy, we are laser focused on areas of Granada. We know our starting price point. We have an idea of cost per square foot. We have examples which are good enough even for my sister. Now, I have to ask an obvious question. How are we going to buy? Do we need to come in with all cash, or can we come in with a certain percentage down and get local financing from a bank or credit union?
Okay, most of our purchases will be all cash. And because of the challenge of getting a loan here and the interest rates here, most people find the money in their home country by leveraging something that they have there. There are a few condo projects that are starting up that have obtained local financing from banks, and they put that in place to aid the sales of their project. Usually, it's 10% down when there's a meeting of the minds about price and details of a purchase. And then the cash is in 30 days or a negotiated time period. There are a few owners that will finance part of the purchase with a substantial down payment, and they might carry it for 1 to 3 years, depending on what their plans are for the sales of their properties.
So basically, local financing for expats is not really an option.
Not too much.
And then if people are buying in some of those new condo towers that are going up, is it one of those things where they put down a deposit and then make payments throughout, or do they pay everything at one time? How is that done?
Well, okay, first I have to tell you, no condo towers. Nothing in town can be higher than the church spires of the cathedral. So we're talking that everything is two-story here.
Okay.
And what I'm going to say is that each deal varies according to what's negotiated, but it's usually a substantial down payment and monthly payments with perhaps a balloon payment at the end.
Okay, Nancy, anyone who has ever owned real estate can tell you, you need to have a money exit strategy in place even before you buy. It's something what I like to call, where's the cheddar? You are buying the property to do what with it to make some money. So Nancy, where's my cheddar?
Okay, well, your cheddar is safe in Grenada. And I'll tell you, properties in Grenada are very, very rentable and saleable, but depending on what the worldwide market is doing, like always. So, like people say, you make your money when you buy, not when you sell. So you need to buy correctly, get a good price when you buy that property, and your equity will be there when it's time to sell it.
And then Nancy, I can't let you go yet. What do most of your clients do? Do they live there full time? Do they live there part time? And then when they're not there, they rent out their properties. What do most people do that you deal with?
Okay, it's about 50-50. Half of the people come to live here, and the other half will come and go. And the ones that come and go will rent their property. Even the ones who live here, when they are going to go off to visit someone for a month, will probably rent their property. Rental market is so hot right now. There are not enough rentals to go around for the demand.
And then when you say rentals, do people rent it out like per night, per week, per month, or is it based on a 3 or 6 or 12-month lease?
It's everything. Some people prefer long-term rentals on their properties and prefer to rent 6 months to a year or longer. And other people will do the 3-night to 1 month rental. There's many new companies out there that are websites to help you book things online, or the property management companies in Grenada.
And then I believe you said it earlier, would you handle vacation rentals, or do you just handle leases that are for a longer period of time?
Well, we don't really want to handle a lot of vacation rentals.
Right.
Because we actually have a hotel. So our hotel is what we like to say our vacation rental site. But, websites like Airbnb and VRBO handle a lot of those vacation rentals.
Wait, Nancy, it's time to go, but we can't go yet because you have a hotel. Can you better explain about your hotel?
Well, that was the thing that we jumped into right away when we got here, was to create a boutique hotel out of a old residence in the center of the city. So that's Hotel Casa San Francisco. And we're a 9-room boutique hotel with all the amenities and beautiful gardens and pool. And it's right across the street from our real estate office, coincidentally.
That's what I call full service, Nancy.
Right. Yeah.
Nancy, I wanted to thank you for taking the time to share with us about Granada real estate. We have heard about your journey, why you chose Nicaragua, exact areas to focus on, price points to look out for, examples, good enough even for my sister, a money strategy to purchase, and then what we might do with it after the fact to make some cheddar. Unfortunately, it's time to say goodbye. But before we do, share with us easy ways to get a hold of you, any parting advice you might want to share, and then let's say goodbye.
Okay. Well, I'd like to give you the website for Casa Granada Properties, which is www.casagranadaproperties.com. And we also have a new Pacific division for the Pacific Coast called pacificnicaragua.com. And for our hotel, hotelcasasanfrancisco.com. Now, as parting advice, I would say anyone who's intrigued by what I had to say in our conversation, come to Granada, take a look, see the beauty that's here, the beauty of nature, the beauty of a historic town, the wonderful people of Nicaragua.
Love it, Nancy. I have really enjoyed this conversation straight from Granada, Nicaragua to our earbuds, and I hope we can catch up again in 3 to 6 months.
Okay, Taylor, I look forward to it.
I want to thank Nancy once again for taking us the first time to Nicaragua and revealing why Granada is such an amazing location in Central America. Nancy was another House Hunters International alum, and I can't wait to get her back on the show again soon with more specific Nicaragua real estate investments she believes you need to hear about right now. If you're listening to this podcast and want to grab Nancy's contact details, links on buying or selling Granada real estate, or any other show notes, head on over to irelpodcast.com/41. Listening to Nancy has gotten you all excited about Granada, and you want to start getting Nicaragua real estate listings via email. You want to be in the comfort of your home or office, and you want to see the property's pictures, details, and prices all at your fingertips. And of course, you want these completely free. Head on over to irelpodcast.com/41 and get signed up for our free property alert service for Nicaragua. And each time a property is listed by an owner, agent, or developer, you get them via email. What are you waiting for? Head on over to irelpodcast.com/41 and get signed up.
You have been listening to the IREL Podcast with Taylor White. Be sure to hit up irelpodcast.com for more. That's irelpodcast.com. Thanks for listening.